Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
My name is Rachel Morrison and I'm 32 years old. For the past 7 years I've lived with multiple sclerosis. Most days you wouldn't know it by looking at me. That's the cruelest part of invisible disabilities. People assume that if they can't see your suffering, it doesn't exist. The diagnosis came when I was 25, right after I'd landed my dream job as a software architect at a Fortune 500 tech company. I was making $180,000 a year, had just bought my first condo and was planning my future. Then came the numbness in my left leg. The vision problems. The fatigue that felt like someone had drained every ounce of energy from my body. Dr. Chen diagnosed me after 3 months of testing. MRIs showed lesions on my brain and spine. The diagnosis was definitive: relapsing-remitting multiple sclerosis. He prescribed disease-modifying therapy, explained the unpredictable nature of the condition, and became not just my neurologist but my advocate in a world that didn't understand invisible illness. My parents' reaction was immediate and devastating. "You look fine to me," Mom had said when I told them, dismissing my trembling hands. "Are you sure these doctors know what they're doing?" Dad added, "You've always been dramatic about health stuff." I wasn't dramatic. When I was 12, I had appendicitis. I told them my stomach hurt for 2 days before they took me to the ER. The appendix had already ruptured. When I was 16 and broke my wrist during volleyball practice, they made me wait until after my brother's baseball game to go to urgent care. The doctor said I'd caused permanent damage by waiting. But this was different. This was a chronic condition they couldn't see, so in their minds, it didn't exist. My brother Kyle was worse. 3 years younger than me, he'd always been the golden child. The athlete, the charmer, the one who could do no wrong. When I told him about my MS, he laughed. "Come on, Rach. That's like for old people. You're just stressed from work." My sister Emily, 26 and newly married, took Mom's side immediately. "I think you like the attention," she'd said during a family dinner 6 months after my diagnosis. "You've always wanted to be special." I stopped trying to explain. I focused on my work instead. The thing about MS is that it's unpredictable. Some days I could work 12-hour days, hit the gym and cook dinner. Other days I couldn't feel my legs well enough to walk safely, or the fatigue was so crushing I could barely lift my head. My company was incredible. They gave me full remote work flexibility and I thrived. Within 3 years of my diagnosis, I'd been promoted to senior principal architect, managing a team of 18 engineers and making $285,000 annually. I bought a second property, a lake house 2 hours north of the city, as an investment and a retreat. I had a stock portfolio worth $1.2 million. I had a life I'd built carefully, strategically, around my limitations and abilities. My family knew none of this. They knew I worked in computers, and that I still lived in the same condo I'd bought before my diagnosis. They didn't know about the promotions, the lake house, the investments. I'd learned early that sharing my successes only triggered their resentment, especially when paired with what they considered my fake illness. Dr. Chen became more than my neurologist over the years. He was 48, married with 2 teenage daughters, and had been treating MS patients for 23 years. He understood the isolation that came with invisible illness. He documented everything meticulously, every symptom, every flare-up, every medication adjustment. He wrote letters for my employer, advocated for my needs, and validated my experience when the rest of the world dismissed it. "Your family's denial isn't uncommon," he told me during an appointment 2 years ago. "It's painful, but you're not responsible for making them understand. You're responsible for taking care of yourself." I took his advice. I built my life around my condition, not their opinions. I had friends who understood, colleagues who accommodated, and a care team that believed me. I didn't need my family's validation. But they needed something from me. The invitation came 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. My mother called, her voice sugary sweet, the tone she only used when she wanted something. "Rachel, sweetie, we're doing Thanksgiving at the house this year. Emily's hosting won't work with her renovation and Kyle's place is too small. We'd love for you to come." I hesitated. I hadn't attended a family gathering in 2 years. The last one had ended with my mother loudly announcing that I was milking my diagnosis for sympathy while I sat in a corner, too fatigued to argue. "I'm not sure, Mom. Thanksgiving is a long day and..." "See? This is exactly what I mean. You can come to work every day, but family is too much effort. I didn't work in an office every day. I worked from home. But explaining that would only fuel more accusations. I'll think about it, I said. Your father would really love to see you. He's been saying how much he misses you. That was a lie. Dad had called me exactly twice in 2 years, both times to ask if I could lend Kyle money for his failing business ventures. But something in me wanted to try one more time. Maybe enough time had passed. Maybe they'd softened. Maybe I was foolish enough to hope. Hey, I said. I'll come. Wonderful. Come around too. And Rachel, please don't make a big deal about your situation. It's a family holiday. We want everyone to enjoy themselves. Translation. Don't mention your MS, pretend you're normal. Don't ruin their day with your reality. I made a decision the week before Thanksgiving. Dr. Chen and his family lived 40 minutes from my parents' house. I'd been to a holiday party at their home 2 years ago. He occasionally invited his long-term patients to casual gatherings, fostering a community of people who understood chronic illness. I called him on Monday. Dr. Chen, this is going to sound strange, but I'm going to my parents' house for Thanksgiving. They live in Riverside. I know you're not far from there. We're in Riverside too, he confirmed. Different neighborhood but same town. They don't believe my diagnosis, I said bluntly. They never have. They think I'm faking for attention. I'm expecting them to say something hurtful and I wanted you to know. In case I need to process it in our next appointment. There was a pause. Rachel, are you safe there? Physically, yes. Emotionally, no. But I'm an adult. I can leave if I need to. What time is your gathering? 2 o'clock. Another pause. Our Thanksgiving is at 1 at my brother's house. He lives on Maple Street in Riverside. Where are your parents? Oak Ridge Drive. That's 4 minutes away. His voice changed, became more serious. Rachel, I want you to have my personal cell number in that text thread we use for appointment updates. If anything happens, if they say or do anything that crosses a line, you text me. I mean it. Dr. Chen, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. I've watched you handle this disease with incredible grace while your family's denial has caused you documented psychological distress. You have my number. Use it if you need it. I felt tears prick my eyes. Thank you. I hope you don't need to text me. But if you do, I'll be there. Thanksgiving Day arrived cold and gray. I dressed carefully. Nice jeans, a comfortable sweater, flat boots I could walk in safely. I brought my cane even though I knew it would trigger comments. My left leg had been weak all week and I wasn't risking a fall to spare their feelings. I arrived at 2:15. The driveway was packed with cars. Kyle's truck, Emily's SUV, my aunt and uncle's sedan, my cousin's vehicles. At least 15 people were here. Mom opened the door, her smile freezing when she saw the cane. Oh, Rachel. Really? You're bringing that? I need it today, Mom. My leg's been weak. She sighed dramatically. Fine. Come in. Everyone's in the living room. The house smelled like turkey and stuffing. Voices and laughter echoed from the living room. I made my way slowly, my cane tapping against the hardwood floor. The conversation stopped when I entered. 15 faces turned toward me. Rachel. Emily jumped up, her expression overly bright. You made it. Here, sit here. She gestured to a folding chair in the corner, away from the main seating area. Kyle smirked from the couch. Nice cane. Going for the sympathy angle today. My cousin Jennifer laughed. My uncle looked uncomfortable but said nothing. It's good to see you all, I said evenly, lowering myself into the chair. Dinner was served at 3. The dining room table sat 12. They'd set up a card table in the living room for the overflow. I was placed at the card table with 2 teenage cousins who spent the entire meal on their phones. I ate slowly, managing my energy. MS fatigue isn't regular tiredness. It's neurological, crushing, impossible to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. By 4 o'clock I was struggling. I stayed in my chair listening to conversations I wasn't included in. Emily talked about her house renovation. Kyle bragged about a new business idea. Mom and Dad held court, laughing and playing the perfect hosts. At 4:30 Mom stood up and clinked her glass. Before we have dessert, I want to say something. She looked directly at me. Family is about honesty. And I think it's time we addressed something that's been bothering us for years. My stomach dropped. Rachel, we love you. But we're concerned about this narrative you've been pushing about being sick. We've all watched you for years now, and honey, you're perfectly fine when you want to be. The room went silent. Dad nodded. Your mother's right. About time someone said it. Emily chimed in. You come to family events with that cane playing the victim, but we all know you're working full-time, living independently. If you were really as sick as you claim, you couldn't do all that. Kyle laughed. Dude, she's been pulling this since we were kids. Remember the appendix thing? The broken wrist? She loves medical drama. My aunt looked uncomfortable. My uncle studied his plate. My cousins watched with wide eyes, hungry for conflict. I felt the familiar numbness in my chest. Not from MS but from years of invalidation. I'd prepared for this. I'd known it was coming. I pulled out my phone and replied calmly, understood. Then I opened my text thread with Dr. Chen and typed, Dr. Chen, my parents are accusing me of faking my MS diagnosis at Thanksgiving dinner. You're still here, right? 3 dots appeared immediately. I'm 10 minutes away. Hold tight. I looked up at my mother. Okay. She blinked, confused by my calm response. Okay? That's all you have to say. I heard you. Don't you want to defend yourself? Emily pressed. Would you believe me if I did? Probably not, Kyle said, grinning. Because you're full of it. The room erupted in uncomfortable laughter. I checked my phone. Dr. Chen had texted, pulling up now. The doorbell rang. Mom frowned. Who could that be? We're not expecting anyone. I stood slowly, leaning on my cane. That would be my neurologist. The color drained from Mom's face. You're what? The doorbell rang again. Someone should get that, I said quietly. Dad stood, confusion and anger warring on his face. He stalked to the front door and yanked it open. Dr. Michael Chen stood on the porch, still in his dress shirt and slacks from his family gathering. He was 6 feet tall, with silver-streaked black hair and the calm, authoritative presence of someone who'd spent 2 decades delivering difficult news. Good evening. I'm Dr. Michael Chen, Rachel Morrison's neurologist. May I come in? The dining room had never been so quiet. Dr. Chen stood at the head of the table where my mother had made her announcement minutes earlier. He'd brought his tablet from his car. Mom, Dad, Emily, Kyle, and my aunt and uncle sat frozen. My teenage cousins had been sent to the living room. I apologize for interrupting your holiday, Dr. Chen began, his voice professionally courteous but edged with something harder. But when my patient texts me that her family is publicly accusing her of faking a serious neurological condition, I take that seriously. Mom found her voice. Now wait just a minute. Dr. Chen held up one hand. Mrs. Morrison, I'm going to speak and you're going to listen. Then you can respond. Something in his tone made her snap her mouth shut. I've been treating Rachel for multiple sclerosis for 7 years. Her diagnosis is definitive, documented, and supported by extensive testing including multiple MRIs showing lesions on her brain and spinal cord, lumbar punctures, evoked potential tests and comprehensive blood work ruling out other conditions. He tapped his tablet, turning it to face the table. These are her MRI images from 3 months ago. These white spots you see. Those are demyelinating lesions. Areas where her immune system has attacked the protective coating on her nerves. She has 17 active lesions in her brain and 12 on her spinal cord. Emily's face had gone pale. Kyle stared at the screen, his smirk finally gone. Multiple sclerosis is classified as an invisible disability because symptoms fluctuate. Rachel has relapsing-remitting MS, which means she experiences periods of relative stability interrupted by flare-ups. The fact that she can work and live independently is a testament to her incredibly effective disease management, her compliance with a medication regimen that costs $8,000 per month, and her meticulous attention to her limitations. $8,000? Mom whispered. Per month, Dr. Chen confirmed. Covered by her insurance, thankfully, but that's the cost of the disease-modifying therapy keeping her functional. Without it, she'd likely be in a wheelchair full-time within 5 years. Dad cleared his throat. But she looks fine. She looks fine because she's learned to manage a debilitating condition with extraordinary discipline. Dr. Chen cut him off. She monitors her energy levels, adjusts her schedule around her symptoms, uses mobility aids when needed, Like that cane you all mocked her for bringing today, and has built her entire life around accommodating her disability while maintaining her career and independence. He swiped to another screen. These are my clinical notes from her appointments over the past 7 years. In that time, she's experienced 32 documented flare-ups requiring steroid treatment. She's had episodes of optic neuritis causing temporary vision loss. She's experienced debilitating fatigue, muscle weakness, sensory disturbances, and cognitive difficulties. All documented. All real. All consistent with her diagnosis. The room was absolutely silent. Dr. Chen's voice dropped lower, harder. What I also documented, Mrs. Morrison, is the psychological impact of her family's denial of her condition. For 7 years, Rachel has dealt with your accusations of faking, your dismissal of her symptoms, and your emotional abuse regarding a medical condition she didn't choose and can't control. Emotional abuse? Mom's voice was shrill. How dare you? I dare because I'm a mandated reporter and I've watched my patients suffer from your treatment for years. Dr. Chen stepped closer to the table. What happened here tonight? Rachel texted me that you made a public announcement accusing her of faking her illness. Is that accurate? Silence. I'll take that as a yes. He tapped his tablet again. I'm documenting this incident in her medical record as family-related psychological trauma. I'm also noting that despite her disability, she's been financially independent, professionally successful, and has required zero financial support from her family, unlike what I suspect is true of others in this room. Kyle's face flushed red. Now let me be very clear about something else, Dr. Chen continued. If Rachel had fallen when you mocked her for using her cane, if that mockery had caused her to forego a needed mobility aid and she'd been injured, that would have constituted reckless endangerment of a disabled person. In California, that's a misdemeanor carrying up to 1 year in jail and a $10,000 fine. Dad stood up abruptly. You can't come into our house and threaten us. I'm not threatening you, Mr. Morrison. I'm educating you on the legal realities of disability discrimination and abuse, which is what you've been doing to your daughter for 7 years. Emily spoke up, her voice small. We didn't know. We thought. You didn't know because you didn't ask. You didn't research her condition. You didn't attend a single medical appointment with her. You didn't educate yourselves. You chose to believe that your daughter, a successful professional with no history of deception, was faking a serious illness for attention. Do you understand how psychologically damaging that is? Aunt Linda spoke for the first time. Rachel, honey, we didn't realize. Don't, I said quietly. I'd been silent throughout Dr. Chen's presentation, but now I stood, gripping my cane. You all stood by and watched. You laughed. You called me dramatic, a victim, an attention seeker. For 7 years. We'll do better, Mom said quickly. We'll learn about MS, we'll support you. No. My voice was steady. You don't get to do better. Not with me. You had 7 years to choose belief over mockery. You chose mockery every single time. Dr. Chen moved to stand beside me, a silent show of support. I looked at each of them. I make $285,000 a year. I own 2 properties worth a combined $1.8 million. I have a stock portfolio worth $1.2 million. I built all of that while managing a progressive neurological disease and receiving zero support from any of you. Kyle's mouth fell open. Emily looked like she might be sick. You don't know me, I continued. You never tried to. You created a narrative that made you comfortable, that I was weak, dramatic, faking, because it was easier than acknowledging that I'm dealing with something real and scary and difficult. Rachel, Dad started. I'm not finished. My hands were shaking but my voice stayed level. Dr. Chen documented tonight's incident. If any of you contact me after today, if you call, text, email, or show up at my home, I will consider it harassment and file a restraining order. If you disparage me to other family members or on social media, I will pursue a defamation claim. And if you ever mock another person with an invisible disability, remember that there are legal consequences for disability discrimination. Mom was crying now. I felt nothing. Dr. Chen, I'm ready to leave. Of course. He nodded to the table. Happy Thanksgiving. We walked out together, leaving 15 people in shocked silence. In the parking lot, Dr. Chen walked me to my car. Are you okay to drive? Yes. The adrenaline's helping, actually. I unlocked my car, tossing my cane in the passenger seat. Thank you. For coming. For everything you said. I meant every word. He paused. Rachel, what you did in there took enormous courage. I just stood up for myself. Exactly. After 7 years of being told your reality wasn't real, you stood up and claimed it. That's powerful. I felt tears finally coming. Why don't they love me enough to believe me? I don't know, he said gently. Some people can't handle their loved ones being vulnerable. It scares them, so they deny it. But that's their failing, not yours. I nodded, wiping my eyes. I meant what I said. I'm done with them. Good. You deserve people who believe you, support you, and celebrate what you've accomplished despite your challenges. Like you. He smiled. Like me. Now go home, rest, and know that you handled this perfectly. The fallout was swift. Emily called 15 times that night. I blocked her number. Kyle sent a text. You're really going to throw away your family over this? I blocked him too. Mom left a voicemail. You embarrassed us in front of everyone. How could you? Delete and block. Dad's message was brief. Your mother is devastated. Hope you're happy. Blocked. My Aunt Linda sent an email that was actually kind. I should have spoken up years ago. I'm sorry. I understand if you don't want contact, but please know some of us believe you and always did. I thanked her and explained I needed distance from everyone. The following Monday, Dr. Chen's office called. Not for an appointment, just to check in. Dr. Chen wanted me to let you know he's here if you need to talk, his nurse Stephanie said. He's really proud of how you handled things. I cried on the phone with her for 10 minutes. 3 weeks later, I was copied on an email thread I wasn't supposed to see. Kyle had forwarded something to my cousin Jennifer, who accidentally hit reply all. The original email was from my mother to extended family members. We're asking everyone to pray for Rachel. She's been diagnosed with a serious illness and is going through a difficult time. We're trying to support her as best we can, but she's pushing us away. Please keep her in your thoughts. I stared at the screen in disbelief. They were using my illness, the one they'd denied for 7 years, to paint themselves as martyred, supportive parents. I forwarded it to Dr. Chen with a note. Is this real? He called me within an hour. That's called reputation management. They're rewriting history to avoid looking like the people who abused their disabled daughter for 7 years. It's working. My cousin replied saying how hard this must be for them. Let them have their narrative, Rachel. You know the truth. I know the truth. That's what matters. But it gnawed at me for days. Then came December 15th. I was working from home when my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. A courier with a certified letter. I signed for it, my hands shaking as I opened the envelope. It was from Kyle's attorney. He was suing me for defamation, claiming my statements about his financial situation at Thanksgiving had damaged his business reputation and caused him to lose a potential investor. I called Dr. Chen immediately. They're suing me. Kyle's suing me for what I said at Thanksgiving. Do you have an attorney? Not yet. Get one today. And Rachel, don't worry. I documented everything that happened that night. If they want to go to court, we'll show a judge exactly what happened and why you said what you did. I hired an attorney that afternoon. A disability rights lawyer named Patricia Vance who'd handled cases involving family abuse of disabled adults. This is retaliatory, she said after reviewing the facts. They abused you, you stood up for yourself, and now they're using the legal system to punish you for it. We're going to fight this. The case never made it to trial. Patricia sent Kyle's attorney a response that included 1. Dr. Chen's 7 years of medical documentation of my MS diagnosis. 2. Dr. Chen's clinical notes documenting family-related psychological trauma. 3. Dr. Chen's contemporaneous notes from the Thanksgiving incident. 4. California disability discrimination statutes. 5. A counterclaim for harassment and intentional infliction of emotional distress. 6. A promise that if the case proceeded, we'd subpoena every family member present at Thanksgiving to testify about their treatment of me over 7 years. Kyle's attorney withdrew the lawsuit within 2 weeks. Patricia sent one final letter. Any further contact with our client will result in immediate filing of a restraining order and a civil suit for ongoing harassment. This is your final warning. I haven't heard from them since. It's been 4 months now. I spent Christmas at Dr. Chen's family gathering. He'd invited his long-term patients again, and this time I went. I met 6 other people with MS, 2 with lupus, 1 with rheumatoid arthritis. We swapped stories, shared resources, and laughed about the absurdity of explaining invisible illness to people who refuse to understand. "You're glowing," Dr. Chen told me as the party wound down. "I haven't seen you this relaxed in years." "I don't have to perform anymore," I said. "I don't have to prove my illness is real or justify my limitations. Everyone here just gets it. That's what chosen family looks like." He was right. My work gave me an award in February, Senior Architect of the Year. My team threw me a party. My boss gave a speech about my technical brilliance and leadership. Nobody mentioned my MS because it wasn't relevant to my professional accomplishments, but everyone knew about it and accommodated it without making it my entire identity. That's what respect looks like. I bought a better car. A luxury SUV with adaptive features that made driving safer on bad MS days. I renovated my lake house. I started a small nonprofit providing financial assistance for MS medication costs for patients whose insurance didn't cover the expensive disease-modifying therapies. I built a life that wasn't defined by my family's rejection or my disease's limitations. I built a life around my abilities, my accomplishments, and people who believed me. Last week Aunt Linda reached out again. "Your mother's been asking about you. She wants to apologize." "Tell her I accept her apology," I replied. "But I don't want contact. I've moved on." "She's your mother, Rachel. And I'm her daughter who she abused for 7 years because I have a disability she refused to acknowledge. Some bridges burn for good reasons." Linda didn't respond. The truth is I don't miss them. I miss the family I wished I had. The one that would have researched MS with me, attended appointments, celebrated my good days, and supported me through bad ones. But that family never existed. The real family mocked, dismissed, and publicly humiliated me for having a disease I didn't choose. I don't need their apology now. I needed their belief 7 years ago. Dr. Chen was right that day in his office 2 years ago. I'm not responsible for making them understand. I'm responsible for taking care of myself. And that's exactly what I've done. My name is Rachel Morrison. I'm 32 years old. I have multiple sclerosis. I make $285,000 a year. I own $3 million in assets. I have a chosen family who believes me, supports me, and celebrates me. And I've never been happier.